Wedding. They can turn to magazines, wedding expos, and planners, but in nearly half of all marriages, that walk down the aisle ends in divorce. And now there's a new venture trying to make those first steps alone much easier. In spring, just as certain flowers will bloom, weddings abound. And like any good event planner, Francine Barris and her daughter Nicole are going over every last detail.
These are the round tables. It creates a little bit more intimacy.
Oh, it's lovely.
Yeah.
It's just lovely.
But instead of making a couple's dream wedding come true, they are hoping to help men and women pick up the pieces when that dream falls apart in the rare form of a divorce expo called Start Over Smart.
Divorce is still in the closet. We think we talk about it, but when you're facing it yourself, you are facing it alone.
Half of all marriages in this country end in divorce, and this mother-daughter team described themselves as experts on the topic. Francine, who is married, is a family therapist. Nicole, a divorce mediator, is also a newly divorced single mom.
Your divorce, what was the process like for you?
It was very difficult, very overwhelming, very isolating, but I've gotten to the other side, and I've put in an act that I hope that other people can take advantage of.
Surprisingly, they say, it was one of the most romantic cities in the world that inspired them to bring a divorce expo to New York City.
We flew to Paris, went to the expo, fell in love with the idea.
I'm assuming you've never seen anything like this before.
Never. A lot of people think Divorce Expo is going to be depressing or sad. It's not. It's quite the opposite. It's very empowering and uplifting.
Like a bridal expo, services of all kinds will be showcased.
You're going to get access to close to 100 professionals that deal with divorce.
You might imagine that there would be therapists, attorneys, mediators there, but what you might not think about would be hairstylists, plastic surgeons.
Besides having all this information that's very important to clear up and demystify divorce, we have the other side, which is how to put your makeup on again, how to feel sexual, how to start dating.
Nicole and Francine say they are not proponents of divorce, but are also not ashamed to call themselves divorce entrepreneurs with a message.
I think it's time that people not look at divorce as a bad word, but as a transition in people's lives. They couldn't work together, they couldn't live together, and this is a new chapter.
Robbie Ludwig is a psychotherapist, and Jean Chatzky is today's financial editor, and later today she will actually be a keynote speaker at the Divorce Expo. Ladies, good morning.
Good morning.
And Robbie, this is the first of its kind here in the United States, and I know when people first hear Divorce Expo, it sounds like it's a celebration of divorce.
Right.
It seems like it might be in bad taste, but it really has another message. What do you think about the whole concept of a Divorce Expo?
Well, I really like the idea of the support that it offers, because it's nice to know there's a place to go for people who are having a tough time, where they connect to other people who can make it slightly easier for them. Having said that, it's not going to be an easy process, even if you have people to reach out to.
Yeah, and Jean, you and I both know firsthand how difficult divorce can be. And you're speaking, we mentioned today, about how difficult the financial picture can be when you're separating and going on your own.
Absolutely. When I got divorced, somebody said to me, you need a good attorney, you need a good financial person, and you need a good therapist. I should have just talked to Robbie, but they're right. And the finances are often the thing that get left behind, because they're the thing that we're least comfortable with.
And this is the word that really resonated with me. It actually brought tears to my eyes when I was doing this interview. Having lived through it, divorce is extremely isolating, isn't it?
It's really a grieving process. It's about loss. Sometimes you're losing a family, you're losing your sense of identity, you're losing really a dream.
Friends sometimes.
Well, I think it
Sometimes
scares
friends,
your friends
yeah.
when
It does
you're
scare your
going
friends.
through it. It really scares
People fear
them,
that
and
it's
they take a step
contagious, or
back.
they question their own marriage. So it does bring up a lot of issues that need to be respected, because there's no easy, quick way of getting through the difficulties of divorce. You have to kind of be in the trenches, and there's a reason for that.
Exactly. I mean, it's a growing process. It's a transition.
That's right.
But what we heard from the founders of this expo, they said they wanted to take away some of the stigma, that divorce isn't a bad word. It's just, unfortunately, a word that we have to go through, or a word that represents what we have to go through to get to the other side. Do you think we'll see more expos like these popping up? Is there a need?
I think there's definitely a need. I've been astonished, actually, by the amount of coverage that this expo's gotten, and I know these founders want to take this to other cities. So hopefully they'll
Absolutely, and I think people who are going through divorce feel like failures in some way, even though they're hopeful about their future. So hopefully this will offer them some opportunities.
And Robbie, for those who might be listening to this and contemplating divorce, and we mentioned this is not something where we're, they were really concerned, the founders were concerned that they were not proponents of divorce.
Right.
But what should you be asking yourself as you're trying to decide whether or not to go through it with the divorce?
What's motivating your divorce? Have you really explored all of your options in your marriage so that if you decide to divorce, you can almost go through it with less guilt? And are you prepared to live as a single person for a period of time?
And Jean, in terms of finances, what should folks be doing in terms of seeking help before, as they're going through this process?
You really need to know where you are right now in terms of what you've got access to financially and how much it's going to cost you to live your new life. If you still continue on that road with your old budget, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, and things have to change.
Yes, they do.
Jean Chatzky and Robbie Ludwig, thank you both. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And coming up next, a dog really is a man's best friend. The story behind this popular online video right after these messages.